Hello again, it's Crew Call here on the Motor Racing Network, taking you into the garage area and talking to the folks that make the race cars go around the racetracks. We are so glad that you have joined us. I'm Steve Post, pit road reporter for the Motor Racing Network, joined by 25-time and championship-winning crew chief, Todd Gordon. Hello, Todd. How are you?
I'm great.
Fantastic.
Great. Enjoying a little bit of non-racing time. How about that?
Yeah. The Olympic break, of course, is upon us, so we don't have the day in and day out. And what we've decided to do here on Crew Call during this time period is introduce you and talk to some interesting characters. And we've got a real interesting one today. Tommy Baldwin's going to join us. We'll talk to Tommy here. But Todd, just big picture, interesting characters and NASCAR Garage, they seem to go hand in hand.
They do. They do. I think because you're such an obsessive personality to be successful in this garage. So there's so much that goes on, and it's not just vanilla. They do unique things. Last week we talked to Chad Knaus and got his story. That happens across the board, and I love our opportunity here to bring it to people more of what got them there, because you've seen the part that they've shown on TV. Right. Show you the path, the journey that got them from childhood to that. I thought it was a great piece last week, and I'm really looking forward to talking to Tommy about that.
Really is going to be, that is the case. You say vanilla. There is not anything vanilla about Tommy Baldwin. And when we come back, we'll chat with Tommy Baldwin, team owner, crew chief, son of a racer, father of racers, cancer survivor. We got that whole story coming up. Tommy Baldwin joins us next. Welcome back. It is Crew Call here on the Motor Racing Network, and let's do it. Let's catch up with one of those great characters in the garage area. Joining us via the phone line is Tommy Baldwin. Hello, Tommy. How are you?
Good morning. How you guys?
We are doing well. Tommy, we're taking this little time during the Olympic break to kind of introduce the folks to some to our listeners, to our viewers on this, and some characters in the garage area, some guys that have interesting history. So we want to talk a little history with you to start out with. And the history is you are the son of a race car driver on Long Island. Tell me about growing up the son of Tom Baldwin and how involved, or were you involved, what that was like growing up. Were you involved with this race team?
Yeah, I mean, back in the 70s and 80s, showing my age a little bit, but, we had the capabilities of running on Long Island 4 nights a week, believe it or not. And, the 12 miles wide, 55 miles long of Long Island, that we could race 4 nights a week. So we had a lot of racing with the modifieds back then, and kind of got me groomed to come down south over 20 years ago and get my career started.
So talk about that 4 nights a week. What's that like? How young were you in the garage slaving with Dad?
But believe it or not, the rules, with the laws, you weren't allowed in the pit area mostly throughout the whole Northeast till you were 16 or 18 years old. So I did a lot of my stuff at the shop. My dad owned the repair shop, gas station, which I still own today. Believe it or not, it's over 50 years old in business, and we actually have 2 of them up there now. But I started in the shops, just like every other kid, started sweeping the floors and gradually rolling up extension cords and cleaning race cars, and then starting to work on them. And believe it or not, my first time ever in a pit area was Hickory, North Carolina, in the early 80s, late 70s, I think it was. I think it was 79, believe it or not. I got in the pits, and that's really where I got hooked, being involved, being in the area when it was hot and exciting, and I was off to the races, so to speak.
Tommy, I can't imagine that. You work on the car all week long, and then you got to stand outside of the pit area and watch the thing go, and then you have that moment at Hickory that you just referenced. That had to be awkward or weird for a kid to even understand, or was it just so the norm that it was just part of the deal?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much normal. I mean, the race directors or the promoters back then, they used to let me, sneak in behind the seat in the back of the truck in the pit area, and they used to let me help unload the car and change the trailer tire. And once they did that, they'd throw me out and put me in the grandstands. But I always sat on the corner of the grandstand closest to the pit, so I can always watch what was going on. And I would always call my dad over and just check and see what was going on from time to time during the night. But I always stayed connected what was going on. And then after my dad would finish the race, I would jump the fence. I'm not sure if they knew I was doing it or not. Probably they did, and jump the fence and help load the car back up. But those were fun times back then. It's looking back, and got me started and to what I do today.
From that time in the garage area at Hickory Motor Speedway and getting the bug, what was the transition to come south full time?
Well, I mean, back in the early 90s, the Cup Series and NASCAR as a whole was really growing. And, we were having a lot of success up north. We, actually at that time I was, Bono, Kevin Mannion, and I were crew chief and chief mechanic and for Steve Park in the modifieds. And we just got off, finishing a really good year. We won 7 of the last 11 races. We ended up losing the championship by 3 points, but we had a really good year. And Greg Sachs asked me, and I drug Bono along to come down. It was the first Miami race for the Xfinity Push Series back then. And then he said, yeah, why don't you guys come down? I got a little left work to do on the car, and we'll head to Miami and you can crew chief it and help. So he flew us down, and, we didn't have much, we were all open wheel guys. We didn't have much fender experience. When we got there wasn't a crush panel, a window, radiated ductwork. There was nothing in the car. So
just a little work to do.
Bono and I, we looked at each other. I looked at Bono and I was like, well, here we go. So three straight days later, we had the car loaded up, headed to Miami. And, we had a good practice. We ended up qualifying 6th, I believe, top 10. I think back then, there was that was the first year of the race, Miami. I think over 60, 65 cars showed up. And we qualified 6th, and I remember that night we went back to the hotel. We grabbed the beer, opened up the beer, and I looked at Bono. I said, we can come down here, we can do this. And Bono, typical fashion, he's like, yeah, probably, So we ended up racing. I think we were running 6th when we had a windshield strap come loose. Back then, you still had to run glass windshields back then, and if a strap come loose, you'd get black flagged, and kind of ruined our day. But 2 weeks later, I called Bono up, and he was living in Massachusetts. I was still in Long Island, and I said, hey, I'm leaving in the morning. I'm packing up. I've had enough. I'm going to take a chance, and I'm moving down. I didn't even have a job or anything. Didn't even check on anything yet. And then I said, are you coming or not? And he called me back 2 hours later. He said, I'm on my way. So he packed up his pickup truck full of, I think he had 2 suitcases, a stereo, and a couple of bags of clothes. He took the ferry over to Long Island from Massachusetts and met me at my house. We dropped his pickup truck off at my dad's shop, for sale, best offer, loaded up my dad's truck and trailer with all of our stuff, and we moved down.
Oh my God, that is awesome. That is absolutely awesome. Got a little opportunity with near Walsh. You had some time with Junie Dunleavy as well. That had to be a treat, just spending any time there in Richmond with Junie.
Yeah, I mean, Ray Abraham actually gave me my first shot. I was working at night on the Budweiser car when I first moved down here. And then Ricky Craven called him looking for a car chief for the 41 car that Ricky was driving at the time. And Ray said, I got the person for you. So I was here for maybe a month and a half. And next thing you know, I was car chief already on a Cup car. So I got Bono hired. We moved down Gary Putnam from Massachusetts down a month after that. So he's the shop foreman for Trackhouse right now, and moved him down, moved a couple other people down, and I think we were fourth in points when Ricky got in that bad crash at Talladega there and kind of slowed us down a little bit. And so we got pretty much noticed as a group, back then, as and I ended up, next thing you know, 10 months later, Harry Ranier's giving me a call, Harry and Lauren Ranier, and looking to put together a brand new Cup team. So I go about 10 months into my Cup career, I'm already putting together a brand new team from the ground up. So I learned a lot. I thought we had a lot of success in the beginning. We ended up qualifying sixth for the Daytona 500 and our, beginning, right as a brand new team, but they ended up running out of money. But what happened was we had this, Junie Dunleavy with the 90 car, with Dick Trickle drive, and they had the same engine builder. So the engine builder actually got a hold of Junie and the Holly Myers group and Dick and said, he might want to look and hire and Tommy. And next thing you know, had my bags packed and I was moved halfway back up to Long Island to Richmond for a couple of years, and I had a blast. Working with a legend like Dick Trickle and Junie Dunleavy, and we had pretty good success. A lot of top fives, and team from being where it was to where we left it, it was pretty awesome.
Really, really, really cool to get to work with a short track racing legend in Dick. And I'd always heard stories like he needed an hour of sleep for every 100 laps he needed to run the next day. And just a character that you got to go with. Your career continued on. You got yourself into bigger programs, and the one I guess I want to hit on ended up at Bill Davis Racing, I believe. And you were there, and I kind of want to hit this one because we've heard scuttlebutt of, what happens if there's a new manufacturer that comes into the sport. You were there for the transition to Dodge. Talk about what it's like to bring a manufacturer into the sport. I know that one was back in the sport, but into the sport and kind of getting acclimated again.
Yeah, that was obviously a lot of work and, a lot of new people coming in with a lot of ideas, obviously, a lot of technology. And, it was an exciting part, time for Bill Davis, for sure. And a lot of resources brought into the team. And, it was good. I think we ended up winning Daytona with the Dodge and winning a couple of other races there as well. So, we had some success with Dodge, and I was also there for the transition from Dodge to Toyota. So we were, over those last, 5-6 years, we were pretty busy doing a lot of transitional stuff, so to speak.
The transitional stuff, there's the natural, every year you tear everything down and build new again. That was, especially back in that time, you may go to Talladega or Daytona and test 6 or 8 times, but you tore everything down. I can't imagine the degree of work that the transition to Dodge and then the transition to Toyota, how difficult is that to gear up for something totally new like that?
Yeah, the parts with the manufacturer wasn't really the difficult part. The part was the new cars, right? The new gen cars that NASCAR kept introducing. The changes. Those are the biggest pain in the necks that we had to deal with. NASCAR, they've always been really good at throwing something at us, right? And okay, we're going to throw this at you, and this is what it's going to be, and then 6 months later, it's like, oh crap, all these other things have to be, get done for this to happen. And then it's on the teams, right? It was always on the teams to have to go and fix this and do the things that we needed to do. And, even this car today, it evolves every week, the things that we have to go through. So, that's the biggest struggle that we've always had as race teams of dealing with that.
You bring it up even in this car today, competition director at Ware Racing, and really the trajectory of this program from I would say, outside looking in, I would say, 4 or 5 years ago, a start and park operation to the point where I won't call it consistently, but I'd say you've had several top 10 runs here with Justin Haley this year. Talk about building a program forward and finding speed, not being one of the key partners within a manufacturer.
Yeah, I mean, we've been lucky enough to be in alliance with RFK over the last couple of years. And, it took us last year. I think I started in April or May last year. And, when you get in a position of that, you can't really do a lot because you're already racing, right? You can't make a lot of changes. So the guys did a really good job this winter. We basically started from scratch. Stripped every car down, rebuilt every car, measured every car, and really put a lot of information, so to speak, back into the system. So, back into that computer, so that thing can spit out some really good stuff for us, and it's really helped. The guys have really done a good job, with the culture change we did going into the place, and I tell you what, Justin Haley, that kid can drive too. So you put all those things together, and then all of a sudden, a team is starting to build, right? You're starting to gain some momentum. And yourself, Todd, it takes everything. When the beginning of the year, we had some speed, but, we were making a lot of mistakes. The execution was off. We were running well, but a lot of other things came to light of weaknesses that we had to fix, right? So it took us a couple months to narrow down all these things and get to a point that we can have full success, right? I call it full success. Everything working together to as one to be fast, and that's where we're at right now. I mean, I'm not going to tell you we're not still a little behind on some things, but we know where they're at. We're attacking them.
Tommy, I want to talk on the personal level, but you really have triggered something else, which is a characteristic about you. Okay, you just talked about you've shared with us your roots growing up, not being able to get in the pits. Your dad is a short track racer, and you just said you put all that stuff in that computer machine and it spits out all kind of results. Your embracing of technology. This is an engineered sport right now, and you're an old school racer. What has the challenge been? Where are you at with your ability to embrace the 2024 technology?
Well, you don't have a choice, else they're going to spit you out, right? I mean, it's just you have to adapt, and the people that had a lot of success in this sport that didn't accept it are out, right? I mean, it's just the way of life right now. It's just when if this technology and this stuff started happening, and Todd knows better than anybody, in the late 90s, secretly. I mean, when they started introducing the aerodynamics of what we had going on and the wind tunnel stuff, and all of a sudden floors, the bottom of the floors are changing, and oil tank boxes are changing, and oh my God, here we go, and it's just evolved. It's just evolved from there. And then, Todd, you can back me up on that. And that's basically how it started. And now we're in full blown, engineering mode that, we're within a half a turn on a shock adjuster on what the simulation and the computer is telling us what height the car should be. I mean, that's how close we are now. So, the growth of the engineering on what we do is incredible.
It is incredible, that's for sure. Tommy, before we cut you loose, I do want to go off track just a little bit. You got out of the Cup ownership, you formed Tommy Baldwin Racing, or you continued Tommy Baldwin Racing with a modified team. You've had success, but you also have a pair of young racers on the way up. Your sons Luke and Jack. In fact, Luke had a big win at South Boston, the king of the modified win. I see Jack's running up at SK Modifieds up at Stafford. What's it like being a dad of a couple of kids racing cars?
Costing me a lot of money right now, but yeah, it's exciting. We watch them grow, to be careful on the growth of of what they're trying to do. And, Luke's on a little bit quicker. Luke's younger. He's 18, but I think he's on a little bit faster path of growth of what we got going on. Jack's been busy with college and, trying to get a college degree at App State. And so we're trying to do everything we possibly can. And we got, Jack's going to run some modified stuff and coming up for me. And Luke's running the Smart Tories and second in points, going for the championship there. And, we got a lot of exciting things coming up. We got some late model racing doing with Luke. Wilkesboro is the first race, August 3rd, and we race Ace the week after. So a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, it's exciting.
It is. It really is. Carrying on that 7NY banner. Final question for you, final topic for you here, Tommy. August of last year, you made some headlines, and not the headlines that you wanted to make, announced that you were fighting the battle with cancer. The battle, how has the battle gone? Just kind of describe what that's like to be this race car guy that nothing has stopped you, and appears cancer is not one of those things that stop you either. But what has that journey been like over the last 10 or 12 months?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely kicked my ass, to be honest with you. It slowed me down a lot during that time. And, I took a beating, but I had some, between my wife and a lot of good support around me, of the people that were taking care of me and, at the clinics and stuff. They all took really good care of me. My wife was a rock, alongside me at home when times were bad. But, obviously I'm taking all the measurements now of getting testing and, the 3 month and the 6 month and the year. I'm actually right now on my way getting my scan right now to make sure everything's good. But, everything's been good. I'm gaining my strength every day. I appreciate you guys asking, and, getting better every day and back at the gym, and just got to keep plugging, right? That's what we do.
You mentioned the close circle of friends you have, your wife. Tommy, final question for you, the racing community. Could you sense the outpour, the feel from the racing community as well?
Oh, it was incredible. The texts, the people that follow it up, weekly, monthly, I couldn't believe it, from the NASCAR folks, Mike Helton, all the way down to the Saturday night races. It was incredible of the support, and that's what we are. We're a racing family. I think even the gentleman that got shot at the Trump rally the other day, he was a race car guy. He was a racetrack guy over at Lernerville Speedway, and then the outpouring support that him and his family have received has been incredible. So it's NASCAR and the racing community is incredible on when things happen, and I wouldn't trade that family for the world.
We're going to leave it there because I don't think we can leave it any place better. Tommy, we appreciate the time. We appreciate the story, sharing it with us, and we appreciate you. What a great part of the sport you are. I always love when we catch up with you at the pit area, whether it's a modified race, a NASCAR race, or wherever. Thanks for joining us here this time on Crew Call.
Thanks, guys. Enjoyed your time off.
There we go. Tommy Baldwin Jr. joining us here on Crew Call. Stay with us. More in just a moment. It is Crew Call here on the Motor Racing Network. So glad you've joined us. If you like what we're doing here on Crew Call, like, share, subscribe to this channel, and spread the news. Boy, I'm telling you what, Tommy Baldwin, what a story. Share that with all your friends. Last week we had the similar type story, a different character, but Chad Knaus. If you like it, please share and share it with all your friends on your social media channels. Tommy Baldwin Jr. What an interesting guy, what an interesting character, Todd.
Yeah, definitely. And the journey, just okay, I'm going.
Yeah.
And that first time, I love the story. Yeah, just need to button up some details on the car. Shows up, there's no crush panels, no windows, no nothing. Work your guts out. Go down and have a good run.
Yeah, and what I find interesting about that, no crush panel or anything like that, these are modified guys that aren't used to dealing with crush panels and body panels. Yes. So him and Bono, awesome stuff. Really, truly cool, and I'm grateful for Tommy to share some time with us on his journey, on his story. I think his his reference of technology, and he's so right. If you don't adapt to it, this sport will spit you out in an instant. And his ability to adapt to the technology is absolutely amazing. He doesn't have the engineering degree yet. Sounds like he's a guy that a bunch of engineers wouldn't mind working for.
Yes, yeah, and he brought it up in that piece that I moved down here in the '90s when an engineer was a swear word.
Yeah,
and it's and I had a mechanical engineering degree, and I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
I learned pretty quickly that sweeping floors was probably a higher title than an engineer at that point.
At that point, yeah.
I took the sweeping floors job
That's
to
cool.
start with, but really cool, and how he's adapted through the time. Bringing I had kind of forgotten that when he was at Bill Davis, not only did he go through the
that's right, the Dodge.
bringing Dodge in, but then the Toyota piece as well. So he's been through that. I think we're going to see some change like that in the next 4 or 5 years here.
Yep.
In NASCAR. Love what he's been able to do. I love the accomplishments and the camaraderie and the team that he's kind of helping to come to fruition over there at Rick Ware Racing. So great things. Great things out of Tony.
He said one word at Rick Ware that really jumped out to me is culture. That word jumped right out at me.
To me, that's a huge piece. I use that word a lot. I think my serious piece plays this all the time. It's a quote I said, a crew chief doesn't make speed. A crew chief creates culture for making speed. I think when you make the right culture where people are invested, where they're all in together, that's when success and great things happen.
Yep. Great stuff, that's for sure. So we hope you enjoyed our visit with Tommy Baldwin. Again, we'd encourage you to go back. We had a similar visit with Chad Knaus last week. Next week, we'll get back after it because we're going to Richmond with all kinds of different things. So we've got 4 races for the Cup Series, 2 races for the Truck Series before we get in the playoffs. So what we're going to do next week here on Crew Call is we'll preview all of that and get set up for the stretch drive of the 2024 season. He's Todd Gordon. I'm Steve Post. We're grateful for Tommy Baldwin spending some time with us and sharing his story today. More important than all of that, though, thank you for joining us this time here on MRN's Crew Call.